Inside the cold metal walls of the XL Roth battle station, a rare meeting was taking place, one that most of the galaxy would never hear about. Veterans from different alien species, all hardened by war, gathered in silence. They were not ordinary soldiers. These were the survivors of conflicts with humans, a species that had changed everything about galactic warfare. The air was heavy with tension, and even the youngest warriors could sense that something unusual was about to happen. At the center of the hall, under dim blue lights, sat Commander Vectal, the Krell Dominion's most respected war leader. His armor, though polished, showed signs of battles long past, and his eyes held the weight of memories too heavy for most to carry. For years, he had refused to speak about the human wars. Today, he had called them all here for one reason: to finally break his silence. As he rose from his chair, the room fell still. No one knew what he was about to say, but they knew it would not be the usual talk of tactics or honor. Vectal's voice cut through the silence, deep and sharp. "You came here to learn how to defeat humans. But first, you must understand why that's the wrong question." Commander Vectal's voice grew heavier as he spoke of his first encounter with humans, a memory he had tried to bury but never could. His fleet had been the strongest in the Krell Dominion, armed with advanced technology and a record of flawless victories. The mission was simple: conquer a small human colony on the edge of the galaxy. His ships arrived with confidence, surrounding the human defenses like predators closing in on prey. But something strange happened before the first shot was fired. A human transmission came through, not begging for mercy, but calmly stating, "We are outnumbered. We know. But surrender is not an option." The humans fought back in ways no Krell had ever seen. They turned cargo vessels into hidden bombs, used debris fields as cover, and hacked into Krell communications to create chaos. Vectal watched his perfectly planned assault fall apart piece by piece. His fleet eventually forced a victory, but the price was too high: thousands of ships destroyed, countless lives lost, and a fear planted deep in his mind. It was not just their weapons that made humans dangerous, it was their refusal to accept defeat, no matter the odds. That was the moment Vectal realized the galaxy had underestimated Earth. Vectal's voice dropped lower as he spoke about the part of the war no one liked to remember: the lesson of pain. After that first brutal encounter, the Krell High Command ordered him to study the humans, to find their weakness. But what Vectal discovered was far more terrifying than any weakness. He learned that humans were shaped by centuries of war, disaster, and survival against impossible odds. They had a history filled with conflicts that would have destroyed other civilizations, yet they always came back stronger. One captured human officer, bruised but still defiant, had looked Vectal in the eyes and said, "You don't scare us. Pain is just part of the process." That sentence echoed in his mind for years. The Krell were taught to fear loss and avoid risk, but humans embraced both as part of their nature. They learned from failure, adapted quickly, and never repeated the same mistake twice. Each battle with humans became harder, not because of new weapons, but because of their relentless will to overcome. Vectal realized that pain for humans was not a reason to stop, it was a reason to evolve. And that simple truth made them the most dangerous species in the galaxy. After the battles ended and the official treaties were signed, many believed the war with humans was over. But Commander Vectal knew better. He warned the young warriors that the real danger wasn't the open battlefield, it was what came next, the war that no one could see. He called it the Silent War, and it had already begun. Humans stopped sending warships and started sending diplomats, traders, and scientists. They rebuilt the colonies they had lost, not with weapons, but with technology and ideas. At first, the other species welcomed these changes, believing that humans had finally chosen peace. But behind every alliance, there was a carefully hidden strategy. Galactic markets slowly became dependent on human trade routes, while advanced systems quietly switched to human-made software. The Krell, once proud of their independence, realized too late that half of their defense systems were now monitored by human AIs, disguised as helpful assistants. Human corporations signed contracts that locked entire planets into agreements they could not break without risking economic collapse. Vectal saw it happening all around him, a new kind of conquest, where no weapons were fired, yet power shifted quietly into Earth's hand. He explained to the room of young warriors that this was not weakness. It was a new form of warfare, one that humans had mastered without the galaxy noticing. While other species focused on ships and armies, humans studied minds, systems, and long-term control. By the time the galaxy realized what was happening, it was already too late. Borders had changed without moving, and alliances had shifted without battles. Vectel ended this part of his story with a warning. Do not think the war is over just because you no longer hear the guns. With humans, silence is sometimes the loudest weapon. As the final part of his speech began, Commander Vectel stood quietly for a moment, letting the weight of his words settle in the minds of the gathered warriors. Then, with eyes sharp and voice steady, he explained what it truly meant to survive conflict with humans. Survival was not about winning battles or escaping destruction. It was about living in a galaxy where humans had already changed the rules. Vectel told them that after the wars, he thought survival meant breathing another day. But years later, he realized it was something far more complicated. The Krell still had their ships and their cities, but their decisions now followed human-designed systems. Their trade routes depended on human logistics, and their young generations studied human languages and technologies without question. Some thought this was peace. Vectel disagreed. To survive humans, he said, was to accept that their influence seeps into everything, slowly and silently, until resistance no longer makes sense. He warned them that one day, they would wake up and find themselves living in a galaxy where every major decision passed through human hands not because of force, but because of strategy. His final words echoed in the silent hall. If you face humans in war and survive, it means you've been allowed to live in their world, under their terms. The question is not how to defeat them. The real question is how to remain yourself when the humans have already decided what the future will look like. The young warriors left that day with a new kind of fear. They had come to hear about battles and weapons, but they left understanding something far deeper. The war with humans never truly ends, it only changes shape, and surviving it is the hardest battle of all.